These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should...
Chaos broke out on TheView when Karoline Leavitt dropped a bombshell revelation, leaving the hosts scrambling to defend themselves.
Democrats in the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. Watch this.
Today, we're breaking down exactly what went down, why Karoline Leavitt's explosive expose has everyone talking, and what this could mean for the future of the show. If you've been wondering what sparked this meltdown, buckle up, you're in the right place. The drama is heating up thanks to Karoline Leavitt's bold shake-up of the political landscape.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC...
It's no secret that TheView loves stirring the pot, but this time they bit off more than they could chew. When Karoline Leavitt stepped into the spotlight as Trump's press secretary, Democrats wasted no time launching their attacks.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
But their smear campaign didn't just fail, it backfired spectacularly. What started as petty jealousy has now turned into a full-blown disaster, leaving their reputations in tatters. Thanks to Karoline's no-holds-barred approach, the hosts of TheView are scrambling to clean up their own mess. Trust me, the fallout is nothing short of epic. Take Joy Behar, for example. She's a self-proclaimed feminist who constantly preaches about empowering women, yet she crossed a line when she reduced Karoline's accomplishments to nothing more than her looks. The hypocrisy is glaring. How can someone claim to stand for women's rights and then tear down a successful young woman in the same breath? Karoline, standing strong on her own, didn't hesitate to call out these woke cronies.
Women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wake up.
But wait, if Karoline's a 10, where does that leave Joy? Leave it to Greg Gutfeld from Fox News to throw some major shade, delivering a punchline that had everyone talking. And let's just say, the internet hasn't stopped laughing since.
Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
But Karoline didn't stop there. She also had some choice words for the Democratic propaganda machine. She made it crystal clear, either ride the Trump wave or get forgotten. Once Trump is done with them, they won't have any political clout or media distractions to keep them relevant. Their so-called relevance is on borrowed time.
Democrats can either get on board or they can prepare to lose another election just like they did on November 5th.
Judging by the stunned silence on TheView, they felt every bit of that reality check. It's clear to anyone watching that the show is just jealous of a younger, sharper, and actually deserving person outshining them. After Joy's crude remarks, Whoopi Goldberg swooped in, trying to spin a different narrative that had Americans reeling. She went full mother hen mode, scolding Karoline for what she called a lack of tolerance for weakness.
She said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here. Oh, yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have
But
that.
let's be real, Whoopi wasn't preaching wisdom. She was scrambling to control the damage. And Karoline? She wasn't having any of it. In a now viral clip, Whoopi tried to blur the lines between civil rights and wokeness, acting like they were the same thing. Karoline wasn't fooled for a second. She called out Whoopi's flawed logic with brutal precision, making it clear that Whoopi either didn't know the difference or was deliberately misleading her audience. And judging by Whoopi's reaction, she definitely felt that burn.
Women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
If Whoopi is such a fierce supporter of women's rights, why didn't she call out Joy Behar for reducing Karoline's success to her appearance? Maybe because Whoopi's so-called moral compass only points left. Instead of holding her co-host accountable, Whoopi attacked Karoline after the 27-year-old dared to use her first White House press conference to call out the legacy media for losing the trust of everyday Americans. Whoopi conveniently pulled the race card, trying to make it about identity politics instead of addressing the real issue. Classic deflection.
Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all.
But Karoline wasn't done. She took a shot at TheView for spreading baseless accusations, like when they tried to pin an assassination attempt on Elon Musk. She pointed out the irony of the hosts constantly calling for accountability while recklessly pushing fake news.
Ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
She reminded them that just a few years ago, the media was singing a different tune. Now, desperate to control the narrative, they twist anything to fit their agenda. Karoline wasn't about to let them get away with it.
They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed.
For years, TheView and other legacy media outlets have pushed whatever narrative suited them, silenced opposition, and shaped public opinion without facing any consequences. But thanks to Karoline's bold stance, the era of unchecked propaganda is finally coming to an end.
Young, she's wise beyond her years, and she has access to the president, which is something someone didn't have.
With her call for accountability, these outlets are being forced to answer for their reporting. And let's be honest, this is their worst nightmare. Without the ability to spin the truth, their entire playbook is crumbling. Karoline just flipped the script on legacy media, and now TheView is losing it. She announced a game-changing shake-up in the White House press pool, introducing a new media section to hold traditional outlets accountable for their years of biased reporting and misinformation about President Trump. Karoline declared, "We will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House." For decades, the Associated Press and the White House Correspondents Association controlled the room, dictating who gets to ask questions and which narratives get pushed. But not anymore. Karoline made it crystal clear, legacy media won't run the show unchecked. Instead, 2 front-row seats once reserved for White House staff will now go to new media voices that actually challenge the establishment. And if that wasn't enough to send TheView into a meltdown, Karoline also restored press passes for 440 journalists wrongfully revoked under the Biden administration.
Doesn't surround himself by anybody smart. And Joy Behar and those guys, of course this was going to happen. This is why conservative women just have to move on, do their thing, and not worry about the criticism from folks like at TheView.
And we are expecting the media to be...
While many praised the push for transparency, the TheView panel had a very different reaction. Sunny Hostin scoffed at the idea of new media reporters being qualified to attend briefings, acting like only legacy media elites deserved a seat at the table. When Whoopi chimed in with her usual condescending attitude, warning that under the new administration, people would just spout stuff, the irony was palpable. For years, mainstream media, including TheView, has done exactly that, twisting narratives to fit their agenda. But now that Karoline is holding them accountable, suddenly Whoopi wants to talk about standards.
Conflating 2 ideas, this word wokeness, didn't look like she really understood what it meant, or certainly the way Karoline Leavitt meant it when she made that statement, and she was conflating it with civil rights and how women didn't have the right to vote and own property and all of that. That has nothing to do with wokeness, which is, of course, about putting people in there because of their immutable characteristics rather than the merit that they bring to the table.
At the end of the day, this isn't about journalism or ethics, it's about attention. The hosts of TheView thrive on being in the spotlight, dictating what the public should think. And the fact that millions of Americans are now turning to alternative media sources. That's the real reason they're panicking. For the first time in years, they're losing control of the narrative, and they absolutely hate it. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest press secretary in U.S. history, has scolded traditional media for losing the trust of the American people. She said millions are now looking to other outlets for their news. She made it clear, "We will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House." Now, TheView is feeling the heat. For years, they've spread misinformation and smears without real pushback. But those days are over. Karoline Leavitt, the history-making press secretary, just put the entire legacy media on notice to let's not forget. Karoline replaced Karine Jean-Pierre, who loved to remind everyone of her identity at every turn. But as Karoline has proven, leadership isn't about ticking diversity boxes, it's about holding power accountable and speaking for the American people. After failing to take Karoline down with cheap shots, TheView tried to trap her with a classic gotcha question about illegal immigration. They thought they had her cornered, spoiler alert, they didn't.
3,500 arrest ISIS needs so far. Republican presidential came back into office. Can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation.
Karoline flipped the script, reminding them that Trump's America prioritizes law-abiding citizens over those who break the law. Just like that, their entire argument crumbled. But instead of admitting defeat, TheView doubled down, pushing their tired left-wing narrative in a desperate attempt to trap Karoline.
As far as this administration goes, I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what
They love to act like they care about justice, but let's be real, this wasn't about defending immigrants. It was about trying to trip up a woman who was way too smart to fall for their games. Karoline is loving every minute of it, watching them scramble while she stands her ground.
Loved it. You know why? Because I work for a president who is getting things done, who is delivering on the promises he made to the American people.
Karoline isn't just taking on TheView, she's taking on the entire legacy media machine. She's exposing their playbook for all to see, and as they struggle to keep up, they're only proving her point. In the end, Karoline dropped the ultimate truth bomb. TheView has been so wrapped up in catering to the left that they've completely lost their way.
There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it. And the Democrats are in complete disarray because they have become a globalist party who like to spend taxpayer dollars on useless priorities just to cater to the left's demands here at.
For years, they've been nothing more than a mouthpiece for the Democratic agenda. But now with Karoline holding the media accountable, they have no idea what to do with themselves. The moment someone challenges them, they crumble. So, what do you think? Are we witnessing the end of mainstream media dominance? Or will they find a way to claw their way back into power?